Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everybody.
And we're with The Road to Retail. On our podcast, Tracy and I hope to offer tips, insights, ideas, and examples for how small, emerging, and challenger CPG, consumer packaged goods, brands can build their business. Everything from determining if you're ready to grow, where to start, how to prove it online, how to go about securing distribution at a national retailer, driving your business with the end consumer, and how to go about finding an investor if that's important to you. The bottom line is, we would love to help you be successful by highlighting the many important factors that go into establishing and growing your brand.
Bruce and I have been working in CPG commercial operations for over 30 years, working on brands of all sizes. By commercial operations, we mean sales, marketing, trade marketing, new product development, broker and distributor management, new product development, brand M&A, and financing. As a part of our show, we bring our guests that are brand founders and leaders, agencies, Amazon specialists, sales agents, contract manufacturers, retailers, and investors to discuss their experiences and share their insights with the audience.
To keep up with the show, please subscribe to the Road to Retail podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leave us a review and consider sharing the show with a friend or colleague that may benefit from the content. You can also check out our website to learn more at www.road2retail.com and follow The Road to Retail on LinkedIn. We would love to have you along for the ride. Big Chalk's Emerging Brands New Item Launch and Growth Toolkit transforms retail pitches into successful distribution outcomes. Instead of relying on a founder's story alone, brands gain consumer-validated proof across product concept, packaging, pricing, and marketing plans. Powered by advanced analytics and real-world benchmarks, it converts big ideas into retail-ready selling stories, fast and in a budget-friendly way. In just weeks, emerging brands gain the insights and credibility needed to stand out, lower buyer risk, and drive shelf success. Ready to replace hope with proof? Email emergingbrandswin@bigchalk.co and start building the story retailers can't ignore. Since 1994, the Emerson Group has been the trusted partner to brands, retailers, suppliers, and the CPG industry. Their people are CPG professionals and omnichannel commerce experts. They have built a fully integrated infrastructure with a suite of services and capabilities focused on launching and accelerating the growth of health, wellness, and beauty brands. Powered by their proprietary Omega AI data technology platform, which utilizes a brand's insights and data analytics to create a brand's go-to-market strategy, optimize their omni-channel distribution, build marketing plans, and optimize supply chain. The Emerson Group infrastructure and capabilities serve brands in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. To learn more, visit their website at www.emersongroup.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of The Road to Retail. Tracy Priest, how are you this morning, my friend?
I am doing fantastic, Bruce. So excited to be here with you today and with our special guest today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who we've got?
We are being joined by the co-founder of Eco Bandage, Kiowa Kavovit. Kiowa, how are you this morning for coming on?
I am doing great. Excited to be here.
Well, we really, really appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to discussing the brand that you and your team are building. Why don't you take a little bit of time right now at the jump and tell the folks, a little bit about your background, what you've done, and how you landed in your current position.
Yeah, absolutely. So this has been a bit of a lifelong journey for me. We are a family business through and through. So I work with my parents, I work with my boyfriend, my little brother. And it started as a problem to a solution I had and then realized everybody had, including the planet. That was sticker bandages. So over 10 billion sticker bandages end up in oceans and landfills every single year. I hated them as a kid, thought they were ugly, honestly. I was definitely a girly girl and had lots of cuts and scrapes being an active kid. Was 4 years old on a walk with my dad and asked him for a skin that I could paint on. I was like, this cannot be the best solution. This is 100 sticker bandages right here, the trash that comes from it. He thought it was a pretty good idea, so we ran with it. Went through lots of development, lots of struggles, multiple teams of chemists before we were able to figure out what we ended up figuring out, which is Eco Bandage. So it comes in this little bottle, and it is a skin tone colored liquid bandage. We also have fun colors, so like we have a pink and a blue, which are super fun. You brush it on and use it in the same way that you would use a sticker bandage. So it dries down into a flexible polymer. It's concealing too, so it matches your skin tone. We have a couple different skin tones. This would be our medium. I'm wearing our lighter one. And it's much better for your body and the planet.
That is awesome.
Hey, so
Wow.
folks, just so you know, Kiowa's been holding up a couple of her samples of product and a big bag of nasty bandages that they're trying to replace. But you can find all the images and the products that are for sale on their website, which is ecobandage.com. So, Kiowa, I should have told you up front, most of the people listen to the show. So if
Okay.
you go with visuals, just try to explain them a little bit.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Thank you. That's my fault. Tracy?
All good. All good. Well, you talked a little bit about the backstory, but um, tell us our emerging brand and challenger brands a little bit about, what gap did you see in the market that, drove you to create this?
Yeah, so like I was saying before, when I was a kid, I had a lot of cuts and scrapes, and I just hated sticker bandages. They didn't work for me. They were gross. They fell off when I was swimming. They trap moisture, which does not create an ideal environment for healing. They don't have an antiseptic in them, and I needed something that was more of a one and done, brush it on and keep going. So that's what's amazing about the formula of Eco Bandage is it's actually antiseptic as well. So once your wound stops bleeding and you have a clean, dry area, you brush it on, it cleans your wound and then it dries down and it seals it. So you can go about your day and you can, not worry about preventing infection and things like that as well.
That's awesome. Your product is so cool. I love it. I love it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's really really interesting. So Kiowa, you may be one of our first guests that's actually part of a admitted family business. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the dynamic of working with your parents, your brother, your boyfriend? Have you ever had to put your parents on a performance improvement plan? I mean, have you ever had to do anything like that? I'm sure it has a lot of benefits, but boy, when you look at each other over breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it can probably get a little exciting at times. So tell the
Yes.
folks what it's like developing a family business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so because this started when I was a kid, I was actually homeschooled, and this building this business was a huge part of my schooling. So my parents wanted to make sure that my brother and I were both very entrepreneurial minded, and they wanted to make sure that, by the time we were 18, we were able to start a business by ourselves. And they just always had that mindset, so they wanted to pass that on to us. So it was definitely interesting, being homeschooled, we traveled a lot. And this was pretty much like we sat around the kitchen table and we were like, okay, what can we do next for the business? So because we had so many struggles through development, there were some hard times. There were times when we maybe should have given up. It would have been easier, emotionally, financially, things like that. But we always felt like this was, a really strong idea. And it's rare that you find true innovation these days. So we definitely persevered. Dynamics wise, I mean, it's great. I happen to really like all of them, which is nice.
That's a good thing.
We're all definitely hard workers. We're all very creative, which also helps. Although sometimes the creative minds can kind of clash a little bit. But I don't know. I always think of it that there's going to be struggles in every workplace. I have worked other jobs and I've been in other groups and things like that. And there's always struggles. There's always those little social dynamics that are like a little funky. And I would much rather take these ones than any others any day. So I'm happy to be able to spend time with my family and work with them the way that we do.
Yeah, it's really interesting that, as you just said, that your parents thought entrepreneurship and an entrepreneurial mindset was important to you and your brother because, you hear stories of lots of people just being so conservative. It's like, it's a government job or it's stable,
Hmm.
but all that stuff might be true and those are fine, but probably not as exciting with the roller coaster of doing eco bandage.
Yes, it's been a roller coaster, that's for sure. I mean, we went through three different teams of chemists before we were able to, find a team that could actually make the product work, make it shelf stable. And, our main differentiator is the makeup meets medicine. That's what we call it. So clear liquid bandages existed before we came around, and you would brush them on and they left your wound revealed. And then the other option, like I said before, was sticker bandages. So creating something that was concealing because the clear liquid bandages didn't really work for me. I was like, well, I can still see the cut on my leg. That's still a little ugly, unsightly. I don't want to see that. I want to feel better. I want to look good and feel better. That's another one of our little slogans. Um, but yeah, so that was a huge part of it.
Great. Tracy?
Yeah. So how did you know? Talk to us a little bit about the timing of this. Like, how did you know that the market was ready for this? I know there's been other products on, but not exactly like yours. You have just great differentiation. So what told you, hey, we can do this. Let's go for it.
It's really funny because the way that our journey has happened, and like I said before, it took a long time to get the formula right. And we were very picky about ingredients. We wanted to make sure it was something that was good for your skin, good for the planet, and it also had to be shelf stable. And it is a first aid product as well. So, FDA regulations. Um, and at times we were like, wow, this is taking a long time. But in hindsight, it's pretty amazing because I don't know if the world was ready for it at the time. I think it was a little bit kind of ahead of its time, actually. Oh, I forgot to mention too, when I was 6, we went on Shark Tank. So that was kind of our first debut into the public.
You were how old?
6.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Was Mark Cuban mean to you? I know we're going to talk about this in a little while.
No, none of them were mean to me. I think it was fun. I don't know. I didn't really realize the scale of it at the time. It was one of my favorite shows. So we were like, oh, we'll audition. And my dad was like, hey, you want to go on Shark Tank? And I was like, yeah, sure. We watched it like all the time growing up. So
Wow.
I thought it was super fun.
Well, we're going to come back to that in a little while.
Yeah,
Tracy, did
there's
you have anything else
absolutely.
there?
No, no, I just wanted to know like the timing and why you thought was good. And so I
Yeah,
love.
circling back to that, actually, I was going to say that in hindsight, I think that the timing of, our development and the challenges that we had, it's almost like the product grew up not only with me, literally, because I'm, now an adult and able to really speak eloquently about this and take meetings and be more involved, but also, it actually kind of grew into the space that retail is now, which is combining that medicine and beauty, actually realizing that beauty and health totally intertwine. So I'm really excited that it feels like perfect timing, even though there were times when we were like, man, this is taking a really long time. So
Well,
that
how
happened
long did
naturally
it
for
take,
us.
Kiowa? How long did it take for product development? Just curious.
So this started when I was 4, and I
Oh,
think that
wow.
we, started working with chemists shortly after that. We had versions of the product by the time we went on Shark Tank, which I was 6, and then it was over a decade after that before we got our official FDA approval and we launched. We launched officially online. I'm 19 now, so you do the math, but
That's
Well,
just
definitely, yeah, close
crazy.
close to
you
15
guys are
years.
cert you guys are certainly tenacious, so a tip of the cap to your family. So
Yes.
Absolutely.
so Kiowa, did you guys do any research to validate this product concept and the market opportunity, or did you guys just kind of go for it? And if you did do any research, what tools did you use and what did you learn from it?
So at the time, because again, we started this a long time ago, I know that, obviously, I think just, Google, Safari, we're looking into, hey, we have this idea, and number one, are there other people that have a need for it? At the time, we didn't even realize how wasteful sticker bandages are. So that was a huge part of our mission as well. I've always lived in a coastal area. So realizing, oh, people are kind of moving into this sustainability thing, and how can we make small changes in our day? To be a little less of an impact on the planet. So that was definitely validating, realizing that there was that movement just through looking online, social media. And then initially, it was literally just going to the store and me needing something as a child and it not being there. So it was pretty clear that there was a gap in the market for us and that there was, people that were needing this product because that person was me and my family.
Interesting, interesting. Did you ever do anything? So since you launched online, Tracy and I give counsel to lots of emerging brands that launching online does a couple of things for you. You can kind of work through your demand. You can
Mhm.
shake out any bugs in your supply chain. If you make a pricing error, you can fix it online because no one knows about it except you.
Yeah.
Once you start getting into brick and mortar retail, if you've made a pricing error, some of the retailers will say, "Hey, that's your problem, not
Yeah,
not ours. Our
absolutely.
contract says you're selling me this for this." So, anyway, that was great. Tracy, back to differentiation.
Yes. So you had mentioned, I definitely think your product is different, but you talked about there's other products on the market. So how is Eco Bandage different from some of the other stuff that's on the market right now?
Yeah, so we do have some competing liquid bandages. They're all clear. So we like to say the difference is clear. We add pigment. So our pigments also, it's Eco Bandage is dye-free and latex-free for people that have sensitive skin and allergies. But I was going to say our pigments are actually intentional. So they have anti-inflammatory and healing properties of their own. And we found a way to get the pigments to mix with the clear liquid bandage base in a way to where when you brush it on, it totally conceals your wound. So not only is it not a clunky, ugly sticker bandage, but it's also not leaving your wound revealed. So you're able to seal, heal, and conceal all with one product.
Wow.
What's your ingredient for the healing part?
So, the pigments are plant-based. I couldn't tell you. There are things like turmeric that are parts of the pigments,
Got it.
which have their own, anti-inflammatory properties. And then the product itself has benzethonium chloride, and then alcohols as well. So it is a total antiseptic, and that's actually what makes it sanitary to use multiple times. So a lot of people ask the question, oh, I'm brushing it onto my wound. Like, how can I use that again? Well, the formula itself is actually the most sanitary place for the brush to go back in and be disinfected because it's completely antiseptic and antimicrobial. So this is an FDA regulated OTC first aid product. This is not
Right.
something that we mixed up in our kitchen by any means.
No, no, and that's
No.
excellent. I mean, there's multiple benefits there, and I think your one of your little taglines of the difference is clear. I think that's really clever too. So well done by you guys.
Thank you.
So
That's most of those are my dad. He's really good. He's really good with words.
yeah, well, he couldn't come on the show, so we're going to give you the credit, and you can spread it around
Great.
when you feel like
That's
it.
awesome.
So, what's your experience been pitching your product? When we kind of had our pre-call, you talked about how doing it succinctly and doing it in front of strangers. And as the founder in those early days, Tracy and I, we hear all the time that a great founder story is key, especially initially. And then as you kind of quote unquote grow up, you got to have a little more data and some performance. But talk to us about those early days of pitching this thing when, maybe every day when you were getting ready, you're like clinging to the edge of your seat. You're like, man, this needs to really hit.
Yeah, how is this gonna go? I mean, it's funny because my first time really pitching it in a serious environment was when I was 6 at Shark Tank. Um, and I can't tell you that went well. I can't tell you like how or why. I would attribute a lot of it to I had a musical theater background, so I think I was fairly comfortable like speaking in front of an audience. From a young age, I did musical theater, and I think that has led me into being more comfortable with public speaking as I've gotten older. So I don't know if I've actually talked about that before right now. I think that is probably what helped me a lot as a kid. And as I've gotten older, it's all about, repetition. Talking to friends and family about the product, I think is really helpful. When like aunts and uncles are like, "Hey, what are you doing now?" Treat that as if it's a pitch and as if you don't want to be talking on and on about it. You want to be concise. So that also helped me. I think just treating every time I speak about the product as if it's a pitch, like it's a potential investor or it's a potential retail buyer.
You're practicing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
We're
awesome.
always practicing.
Yeah.
Yes,
So you've
absolutely.
had some high profile pitches. You talked about Shark Tank. You also did Walmart Open Call. So tell us about that experience, especially being 6 and being on TV and all the grown-ups and the sharks.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, Shark Tank was fun. I remember being disappointed that it wasn't real sharks. In the CGI that they do with the big sharks, I was like, where are the sharks? Um, I don't remember being super nervous about it. I was more excited than anything because, like I said, it was like my favorite TV show. My dad was extremely nervous, so he was standing next to me. Another funny detail is because I was so little, they had me standing on a box so that I was in frame. And they wanted me to wear a helmet, which is really, really hysterical. And my dad was like, she cannot wear a helmet like during the show, right? That's ridiculous. So finally they gave in. He's like, she's fine. We're not going to sue anybody. She won't fall. So that was funny. But other than that, we had a board up for the pitch. We had practiced a lot, which was familiar for me. And it was really just it when you have a product that you believe in and it solves a real problem for you, I think it makes it much easier to pitch because you're like, hey, this is the problem, this is the solution,
Right.
and this is obviously better, so choose mine. And that was really the format for us. We kept it simple.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
before we talk Walmart open call, I gotta ask two things. One, did you get a deal? And
Oh
two,
yeah.
did the Sharks grind up you or your dad with questions? You can't pick on a 6-year-old kid. That would be bad
No.
form.
At one point, one of the sharks told me he asked if I knew how to do earmuffs like this so that I couldn't hear that he was, stepping out and, or that he didn't, he wasn't gonna do a deal with us or whatever they call it. And, we were just like, no, like I'm here. I'm on this show. I can take it. I'm like, I know how this goes. But yeah, we did end up getting a deal with Mr. Wonderful. We did not go through with the deal after the show because it honestly wasn't in our best interest as far as development, patents, things like that. We just knew that we needed to keep pushing forward, and he was wanting to wait until we had our patent to continue development. And we were just like, we know that's not what we should be doing. And we did have funding at the time, so it wasn't a necessity for us. I think more it was kind of publicity. Like that's still been awesome for us as we move
Oh, sure.
forward. We use that to this day. It gives you a certain amount of validity because people know the name. So I think that was the biggest, you know, that was
Yep.
the biggest
Mhm.
upgrade from going on Shark Tank for
So,
us.
so Kiowa, before Tracy asks you about Walmart, because that's something all entrepreneurs and emerging brands can put their heads around. Not everyone
Yeah.
gets on Shark Tank. You just mentioned patents. How long did it take you to get any issues, or are they still pending? Because I've been involved in ones where they are pending forever.
Yeah, so we're still patent pending. We only officially launched in 2024. So as far as that goes, we're still pretty new. And then that was also when we got our final formula and our FDA approval and everything like that. However, we do have, proprietary systems, and we definitely have provisions in place to make sure that we're protected. And then, like I said, we're working on our patent.
Excellent, excellent. Tracy, Walmart.
Yeah, so tell us about Walmart open call and how that went and
Yeah,
what did you learn from that?
that was an amazing experience. I would want to go back to that event every single year if I could, and I'm sure we will go back again. First of all, Bentonville was way more fun than I expected it to be, so I really enjoyed that. Seeing all of the Walmart buildings, we actually got to go to the brand new Walmart headquarters. So that was incredible.
That's impressive.
Listening to all of the, people speak that have been in this business for so long. There were other business owners that spoke. There were, executives at Walmart that spoke. So we got to go to all of these incredible seminars. That was an amazing learning experience. And it was awesome because we got to go to those, listen to them before our pitch. So we had a day or two of seminars
Right.
that we got to go to, learn about how this was working. And that was honestly amazing because I think it did influence the way that we pitched. I think that it made us feel more secure in what we were doing because we just felt, educated about getting into Walmart, about how it was going to go, about, best practices. So that was incredible. I actually got to meet a member of the Walton family, which is super, super cool.
Wow.
That was really awesome. And yeah, got to meet so many other business owners that have been incredibly successful at Walmart. So hearing about their stories, and I think that honestly, a lot of what they told us about their experience greatly influenced the decisions that we made as far as starting our retail journey with Walmart. And then the pitch itself, it was like any other, we've pitched plenty of times, so it was like that. We did happen to know the buyer that we were pitching to prior, so she had kind of seen us grow. We actually met her at an ECRM event, which ECRM and RangeMe have been a huge part of our journey as well. So definitely shout out over there. So yeah, I met her at an ECRM event when we first launched in 2024. And we were definitely not ready for Walmart at the time. So she had given us notes. She had given us a lot of awesome feedback and stayed in touch throughout. And we pretty much took her notes exactly and we worked on them for a year and a half, I think it was. So it was so incredible coming full circle and meeting with the same buyer again and saying, hey, look, we did our homework and here we are and we're ready for this now. So that was awesome. That would definitely felt good. And then we got a golden ticket. And then that was also great because you get a lot of benefits through getting a golden ticket that you wouldn't get necessarily just being picked up by Walmart.
Right. And how many stores are you in?
So 500 stores, we had the choice between somewhere between 500 and 1100, and we went with the lower end just to make sure that it was something that we could handle.
Smart.
Um, yeah, that was something that I think what greatly influenced that decision was talking to the other business owners at the Walmart open call event. A lot of them were like, we took on way more than we could handle in the beginning. And it's not that we didn't have the supply or we couldn't have done more stores, but after hearing all the advice from the other business owners, I'm definitely happy that we went with that decision because it's like, you work so hard to get the golden ticket, to get the purchase order. But then once you get it, that's when the real work starts. And that's been
Absolutely.
a heavy workload, definitely, managing everything and figuring out distribution and all of that stuff. Definitely bigger than anything we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Well, you just hit on a couple of the road to retail bumper stickers. One of them, it's always better to start small and win
Yep.
than go too big and lose because the only thing a retailer hates more than a product that doesn't sell is one that doesn't ship. So if
Yeah.
you outrun your supply chain, and then the other thing as a small firm, unless you have a ton of money, is they
hmm
don't realize the time between shipment and getting paid, which we refer to as the valley of financial death.
hmm
Can you make it during that time, that stretch? So
Yes.
Kiowa, Walmart, golden ticket, awesome. So as you and the team think about further expansion, whether that's next week, next year, in 2 years, what are you guys thinking about in terms of the profile of the future brick and mortar retailers you'd look for? Because we have
Mhm.
some people, they're like, hey, I'm going there because they want me, even if it
Yeah.
might not make any sense. So, how are
Yeah.
you guys thinking that through?
Yeah, so I think we're focused on Walmart right now. I mean, that's huge for us. It's the biggest retailer in the world. So how could
Yes.
you not be? Definitely focused on that, and we're focused on online. So I think that that will be kind of tunnel vision for the near future. Trying to grow within Walmart. They've been an amazing partner to us so far. Extremely supportive and, helping us. They really feels like they definitely want us to succeed. So that's been awesome. And then other than that, I see Eco Bandage being in all of the larger retailers, all of the, national drugstores and things like that. But I want to make sure that once we get to that point, we're absolutely ready for it. And we're definitely using Walmart as a learning experience before we get there.
Very smart strategy. So talk to us about the marketing vehicles that you use to drive awareness and trial, and then also how you evaluate those vehicles because they're not a cheap endeavor. They can be very expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you right now that marketing has not been as much of a priority for us as it should be. We definitely have lots of room to grow in that area. We do a ton of social media stuff, which, is kind of where it's at today.
Right.
And other than that, we do everything that we can at Walmart as far as talking to our buyer and talking to all the team members there, figuring out how we can promote the product in store. And we're going to start doing more of that in the near future. But I definitely look forward to having more of a budget and more mind space also for marketing. We're at the point to where we're a small team. So, we're five
Yeah.
people. So we're at the point now where I think we're going to need to bring on help as marketing, as far as marketing goes, and social media and things like that. But as far as platforms go, Instagram, TikTok, obviously LinkedIn for more of the business stuff. That's really where we're at right now. That's where we're putting most of our energy.
Awesome. That's great. Yep, it's
So
all about velocity.
What was that?
exactly.
It's all about velocity,
Yes.
moving
Yep,
it off,
absolutely.
getting it off the shelf and into consumers' hands.
Yep. And that's where we're at right now. First, it was like, okay, we got to get this from us to the stores. And that was the
Right.
only worry. And now we're like, okay, now next project.
Well,
Yeah.
as Tracy said, and the way you guys are handling it is, again, I salute you because some people get
Thank you.
so excited to grow, they outrun their capabilities. And we've interviewed retailers, Kiowa, that they talk about whether it's an emerging brand or kind of a someone without a lot of experience, they get something into their retail chain and they're so happy that they're in. And the buyer said that this one gentleman we spoke with, he goes, I have to tell them that the real work starts now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And
absolutely.
and yeah, so all of that is great. Limited store count, win, learn, deliver. And the
Hmm.
other thing is, which you referenced, and Tracy's velocity word is so important. We've also had retailers tell us that emerging brands get accepted, but they've never asked, like, what are your terms? What are the
Yeah,
velocity hurdles? And then
yeah.
it's like, wait, what's a hurdle? Is this the Olympics or is it retail? And it's
Mhm.
kind of both. So let's talk about some of the oxygen of any business. So as you think about funding Eco Bandage, talk to the group a little bit. If you mentioned that you had some funding already, talk about how you guys approach that and potentially giving away precious equity that you and your team are building.
Hmm.
And if you do decide to take on outside capital, what's the profile of the investor you're looking for? Because we hear everything from, man, we just need a check. We know exactly what we're doing. And we
Yeah.
hear other people talk about value added capital. They want someone who has a connection at Target or they really know how to do digital marketing. So, how are you guys looking at it?
Yeah, so I would think that both of those probably apply to us. We were very lucky in the beginning. We did very small seed rounds because we were wanting to conserve as much equity for the founders, us, as we could.
Yeah.
So very small seed rounds just in order to kind of keep us going. And other than that, we were entirely self-funded. So we were very lucky that we were able to do those first couple of small seed rounds with literally just friends and family, people in our community that, were really into the idea and wanted to support us. So that was awesome because we could literally have every investor that we had so far over for dinner and they would all be there, on a Sunday, which is great. Um, Other than that, we did end up bringing a dermatologist on board, Dr. Ashish Bhatia. He's absolutely incredible. He is, certified in everything. Uh, he's a very smart man, and he actually has background in CPG brands as well. So he's brought lots of other skincare brands to market, and made them incredibly successful. So that's a place where it was a strategic relationship, and he is an equity owner. And then he acts as our medical and innovation advisor. So he's been incredibly involved. He also helped us go through all of our HRIPT testing, which is dermatologist approval testing. So EcoBandage itself is officially dermatologist tested and approved. Not only that, but also for sensitive skin. So it was tested through all different skin types, and we had zero incidents of any irritation, which is really incredible. That was a huge achievement for us. And then not only that, but diving more into that strategic relationship with Dr. Bhatia, he's actually going to be starting to use some of our brand extensions that we have coming soon and our clinical versions of Eco Bandage in practice. And then, he'll be able to find different claims that we can make, and that's going to be a very productive relationship. And then, not only that, but he has also brought other doctors on board as small investors. So definitely criteria wise, as far as looking for investors, we have lots of doctors doctors, which is awesome. We have multiple dermatologists now, which is very exciting. And then other than that, we also have brand strategists, we have graphic designers, pretty much all the fields that, we might need advising or advice on, we have as investors, which is really incredible. So we do look for those more strategic relationships.
Value added for sure.
Hmm.
Everybody's got a little skin in the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So this is going to be one of my favorite topics for you since you've been an entrepreneur since you've been basically four, which I think
Yeah.
is amazing. So you're walking down the street and somebody comes up to you, Kiowa, and says, I want to start a CPG brand. What is your
Hmm.
best advice to them?
Oh, I think just start, just one step at a time, because it can be extremely overwhelming. And if you think about anything more than just starting and just taking that one step, and if you don't know what step it is, then figure it out. And then if you don't know what the next step is, then figure it out. I think when you start, learning a lot and you start thinking really far into the future, it can get very, very overwhelming. And if you haven't built a business before, I can see that being a complete roadblock and you just being like, oh, you know what? My job is not so bad. So, my corporate job or whatever it is that you might be wanting to leave. So I think that's the main thing is just being able to wake up and accomplish one thing. And then once you accomplish one thing, then it turns into another and then you get inspired. And then that's when the real magic happens. But that would be my advice.
Just go for it, but just one day at a time. I like
Yep.
that advice. I like that. Bruce?
Well, and in CPG, probably like most jobs, if you wake up every morning and just say like, I have this list of things I'm going to do and nothing is going to detract me from it, you're
Hmm.
crazy. There's
Yeah.
always there's always going to be something. There's a shipment issue, an opportunity you didn't
Hmm.
expect. Some are good, some are bad, and some are just it's a jump ball. You just
Yeah.
got to figure it out and keep moving because it's always easier to just stop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you have zero tenacity, lots of luck.
Yeah.
All right, Kiowa. So who has had the greatest influence on your career and what did you learn from this person?
I would have to say my parents. I mean, I wouldn't be here
Sure.
without the way that my parents raised me. So definitely my parents. The way that my brother and I grew up was very unconventional, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. So we never went to public school a day in our lives. And like I said before, entrepreneurship and building the business was a huge part of, our early days of learning. So it's very familiar now. And I think that's why, even though there are struggles, there are days where I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Right. And I think all entrepreneurs definitely feel that at some point or another, or often. Um, but it is something that feels familiar. So I think that that would have been, the greatest gift that they gave us. And I just watched them always being entrepreneurial. And my dad has always been an inventor, and they've always done things like real estate and, just wanted to live a life where they were able to be flexible with their time. They were always home with us growing up, which was incredible. I always had both parents around and we were able to travel. So I think the gift of like experiencing that sort of lifestyle growing up is what makes me be like, oh, I couldn't do it any other way.
I love that. I love that. I'm sure you're a very close-knit family. So
Yes,
that's
definitely.
that is awesome. So as we're rounding third and heading home, my baseball analogy today, this is one of our favorite topics. So tell us who your favorite sports team, band, or brand is, and then why do you follow them?
Oh gosh, that is a great question. Um, Sports team, I don't follow sports, but my boyfriend's sitting next to me, so I'm going to say I love the Bruins and the Celtics. Uh,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Bruce, we got a
Yeah,
problem.
tell your boyfriend he can catch the Knicks on TV tonight.
oh, he heard that. Yeah, he's from New England, so that's how that goes. Um, let's see. Let me think of something that might be closer to home. Band wise or artist wise, I've always been very inspired by Stevie Nicks. I think that she's a very strong female she's an icon. So that's awesome. Seeing the way that she was able to branch off and be independent. As a little girl, I always found that very, very inspiring. And then brand wise, huh.
Can't say Eco Bandage.
Right, I was gonna say, there's no, brand wise, I think that I find myself being very inspired by the Poppi brand story. I think that,
Interesting.
the founder being a husband and wife, I think that's really interesting. They have kind of a homegrown story. And obviously they've become very successful and I see them on social media a lot. So
Yep.
that would be one that I find inspiring for sure.
Well, they certainly did a heck of a job. All right, Kiowa, so we're wrapping up here. So thank you so much for your time today. But before we completely wrap, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about Eco Bandage?
Yeah, so social media, we're at Eco Bandage on all the social media platforms. And then other than that, ecobandage.com, has our website and everything, or has our contacts and everything, and also more information about the brand. And then my personal LinkedIn and my personal social medias are Kiowa Kavovit. So that's another place that you could get in touch with me directly.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. Okay, Tracy, since you started the baseball analogy, I hope you're loose. The
I
big
am.
finish, man.
I'm the big right-hander coming in from the bullpen. So, audience, thank you so much for joining us today. Kiowa, you were awesome, so inspiring. And I know this episode is going to inspire young entrepreneurs as they listen to all the great advice that you gave. So, thank you again for joining us. Audience, thank you for joining us as well. Continue to follow us on all our social media channels where you would find our podcast, which is Spotify, Apple, YouTube page, also LinkedIn. We post every Tuesday. You can also check out all of our episodes on our website, www.road2retail.com, and we post every Tuesday. So thank you again, audience, for joining us. And Kiowa, thank you again so much for your energy and your insight today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Good luck out there, folks.
Thank you.